The other day, I passed by a boy. Let's call him Joey. He's maybe 9 or 10 years old and struggling, huffing and puffing, barely able to keep up walking next to his dad. Belly overhanging, forward head posture, heavy breathing, just to walk down a sidewalk for a few hundred meters. It was heartbreaking. And to be honest, it also made me really angry. Not at the child or his dad, but at what this situation represents and what we've slowly started to accept as normal. Because that child isn't the problem. He's a victim of something much bigger. A child his age should be full of life and energy, running, moving, playing, not struggling just to keep up. And what makes this even harder to accept is that so much of this is preventable. When I was younger, I can remember maybe one child in the entire class who was overweight. Just one. Today, that's no longer the case. If you look at the numbers from the World Health Organization, childhood obesity worldwide has increased more than 4-fold since 1975. Nearly 1 in 4 children are now overweight or obese, and that number continues to rise globally every single year. We're seeing it more and more. We're measuring it. We know this is a growing problem, and yet, despite all the awareness, all of the available information, and all the conversations around health, why aren't we fixing it? Because this is what it looks like in real life. We say no to unhealthy food most of the time, but then it's a birthday party or a school event or a weekend treat. And in those moments, we tell ourselves, it's okay, they're just kids. It's just a treat once in a while. And my personal pet peeve, everything in moderation. But here's the problem with these justifications. None of them feel wrong in the moment. And that's exactly why they're so dangerous, because each one on its own feels harmless until you actually take a step back and see how it all adds up. And it starts with the obvious ones, like the Hallmark holidays, starting with Halloween. It's not just one night. It starts weeks before. You've got school celebrations, costume parties, pre-Halloween treats. And by the time the day actually comes, kids have already accumulated a half a pillowcase of candy that can last them a few months. But it's only once a year, right? And before Halloween is even over, the stores are already lining the shelves for Christmas, with advent calendars, chocolate Santas, and candy canes everywhere. Then January comes around. We reset, we detox. Up until Valentine's Day campaigns start showing up 2 weeks later. Because what is love without a box of chocolates and heart-shaped candies etched with "Be Mine" in artificial red dye? Then Easter rolls around. Chocolate bunnies and eggs of all sizes, more sugar. Then we move into the end-of-year school events. More celebrations, more treats. Then summer calls, where we let loose because, hey, it's vacation time, right? By August, we're refocused on back-to-school campaigns. Snack promotions are everywhere, and before you even realize it, it's Halloween again. And around it goes, like an unbreakable cycle. But that's not all. Because then there are the birthday parties. And boy, do those add up. In June, when all the kids born in July and August want to celebrate with their friends before school's out. At one point, with 4 kids myself, I remember we received 8 birthday card invitations for one weekend. 8. And it's not just the cake that's the problem. It's the junk food being served. It's the goodie bags, the candy tables, the snacks on the side. Because it's a special occasion to be celebrated once a year, of course. And then there are the social events at school, the bake sales, the monthly celebrations, the fundraisers selling cookies, donuts, chips, and iced tea weekly. I'll never forget this one moment after a school show where every child was asked to bring a plate of food to share. And my daughter's vegetable platters that she brought were the only real food on that table. I kid you not. Here's proof. And the saddest part is that they just sat there, barely touched between all the cookies, cakes, chips, muffins, and donuts. And then there's everything in between. The children's menus in restaurants and entertainment venues. Surely kids should be offered more than just pizza, pasta, burgers, nuggets, and French fries. And yet, this is what we call a kids menu today. The concession stands and vending machines strategically placed right next to kids' sporting activities, on the way in and on the way out. The mall activations with animated characters that draw in kids like a moth to a flame. The supermarket checkout aisles that make it impossible to say no to a nagging child. The treats brought over by guests who come to visit because it's the respectful thing to do, of course. The grandparents, uncles, and aunts who sneak in the desserts here and there just because. And every single one of these feels small, feels harmless, feels like once in a while. But when you actually take a step back and look at the cumulative effect, the cost goes far beyond what we can visibly see. It's affecting children in ways many of us still don't fully realize. We are now seeing children develop chronic conditions that were once considered adult diseases only. Things like insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, high blood pressure. I'm working with children as young as 10, 11, 12, who are already showing signs of insulin resistance and blood sugar problems, regardless of weight. Children who seem normal, who are active, who aren't overweight or obese. And yet, metabolically, something is already shifting inside, quietly, silently. Kids struggling with energy, focus, mood like anxiety and depression, skin issues and allergies, behavioral challenges like ADHD. And sure, food isn't the only factor here, but we can't keep pretending that it isn't a major one. And once you see this growing problem, you can't unsee it. And when you actually try to push back and do something about it, well, that's when it gets tough. I spoke up for years to teachers and principals, to the parent associations, to birthday party venues and restaurants. I offered solutions. I even created food templates and shared better options to make it easier. I even wrote a book on the subject, hoping it would spark some kind of change. But do you know what happened majority of the time? Nothing. Dismissal. And worse, I got pushback, even from other parents. And suddenly you're no longer the concerned parent anymore. You become the difficult one, the extreme one, the mean parent who says no all the time. So what do? You either give up and give in and go against what you know is right, or you hold your ground and risk your child feeling left out and later rebelling. I know this struggle from personal experience. And that frustration and tension, let me tell you, it wears you down. And when parents and schools don't support you, and the systems don't change, After a while, you just stop fighting because it feels like you're the only one. And that's exactly how this poor food culture has become our new normal. Not because we don't care, but because it's everywhere. So we stop questioning it. We tell ourselves it's just once in a while, but when you actually zoom out, how often really is once in a while? And what exactly is considered moderation? We only see the moment, a birthday, a holiday, a treat. But when those moments are repeated over and over again, that's no longer occasional. That's accumulation. Now, this isn't about blaming parents, because parents today are trying their best and want the best for their children. But we're raising kids in a culture that makes this incredibly difficult. Treats are used as rewards. Celebrations revolve around sugar, and unhealthy options are everywhere. But here's the uncomfortable truth. This doesn't just exist outside our homes. It exists in what we say yes to, in what we buy, in what we send to school, and what we serve to others without thinking twice about it. So how do we fix this problem? We start by seeing it, and then it starts with us, from the bottom up. Each one of us becoming more aware, more intentional about what we say yes to in those small moments, at home, at school, and in everyday life. We have to seek and choose better alternatives, not perfect ones, but better ones. And I've seen this work. When my children were younger, I actually called birthday party venues and asked for healthier food options to be served to the kids. And when they couldn't or wouldn't provide them, I made it clear I wouldn't book there until they did. Eventually, I found one that listened. At my children's school, after months and months of pushing, a teacher finally adopted a simple food template that I'd created for those collective gatherings. And just like that, those junk food buffets, they stopped. They became more balanced. So it is possible. And if one parent can create these small changes, imagine what can happen when we're all doing it together. Because at the end of the day, we are the paying customers. We are the ones saying yes, which means we have more influence than we think. But parents should not have to carry this entire burden alone. Because when preventable chronic disease becomes normalized in childhood, society as a whole pays the price later. Emotionally, medically, economically, through overwhelmed healthcare systems, lower quality of life, and generations growing up thinking that this is how it's supposed to be. And this is exactly why we also need change from the top down supporting us. Like a nationwide nutrition curriculum taught in schools, so children grow up understanding what they're eating, how to read labels, and why it matters. We need better regulations around what ingredients are actually allowed to go into our food and what's allowed to be marketed and advertised to our children. Better food labeling systems, maybe even a new food scoring system to make healthier options easier. Better support for organic and regenerative farming, systems that make healthier options more accessible and more affordable, because right now, they're not. And until we address both bottom up and top down, we will keep expecting parents to solve a problem that was never theirs to solve alone. And here's the part we really need to sit with. This societal problem isn't something our kids are just going to grow out of. We are shaping their sense of what normal looks like every single day. And what becomes normal in childhood often follows them into adulthood. And that's exactly why we need change now. If enough of us start questioning what we have unconsciously normalized, asking for better options, and supporting each other instead of staying silent, then maybe the parent speaking up for something healthier won't feel like the difficult one anymore. Together, we become the norm. Because real change happens faster when we stop trying to do this alone. At the end of the day, this isn't just about food. This is about the kind of environment that we're raising our children in. An environment that is shaping their habits, their health, and their future. This isn't theoretical anymore. Some experts have even warned that today's children could become the first generation in modern history to live shorter lives than their parents. Joey may not outlive his dad, and none of this happened overnight. It happened slowly, with once in a while at a time, until it became constant. Think about the last week, just the last 7 days. How many times did you hear or say, it's just once in a while? It's a special occasion. Now multiply that by 52 weeks and think at what cost. That's not moderation. That's accumulation. And the moment we stop seeing and questioning what we have normalized is the moment we stop fixing this problem. Most people won't pause and ask that question, but we can. Thank you.